Hey there. A slight change of plans. I know I had talked about looking at some machine learning stuff, but my friend will be joining me later, and I'm gonna save that for when the two of us can work together. Um, I thought today I would take a look at an alternative HTML kind of CSS curriculum and some of what code.org has to offer along those lines. Let's go ahead and jump straight in. I have a couple pages up here. I have the code.org like homepage, so go ahead and start with this. Okay, so here we are. This is pretty cool. This artificial intelligence lesson is great. Um, it's not, I don't think it's using a typed code language. So, um, cool, but I think a little bit more for elementary, middle school. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I am. As I scroll down here, I do see some hour of code at Learn at Home. Um, so I'm gonna click here, see where it takes me. Um, that's right. They are also doing some stuff with Code Bites. Tons of live streams happening this week, and I just wanna try. I just wanna follow along. So, a couple different options here. Dance Party is very fun, but yeah, Dance Party, Explore Artificial Intelligence, the Minecraft Hour of Code. Those are all going to be using the block-based editor. So if you're looking for a typed programming language, probably you're going to need to look into Intro to App Lab. Now, that is going into JavaScript. So it doesn't look like straight out of the bat they have a HTML, CSS, or web development hour of code lesson. So if you're looking specifically for the hour of code format and you want a typed language, I would say check out Intro to App Lab. They do want you to sign in or at least verify your age here. They require this one to be 13 plus. So be mindful of that. This is really kind of for high school kids and older. I suggest you watch the video. I'm just gonna skip it for now. Because I just want to show you a quick demonstration of how this block editor here is gonna work. So still we're kind of programming in blocks, but it looks a lot more and follows the true format of JavaScript, where we still can change our inputs and we're using proper JavaScript notation. Now, one thing that's kind of cool here is if you click that show text, so when it says show blocks, here it says show text, it actually converts down into true text mode where you could, so if I run this right now, I'll see red screen, and here they want us to change it to a green screen. Make a green screen. So I can just change, oops, if I can type right, where's my home row? There we go. Green. Let me reset this and run it again. Awesome. Now when I go back into the block editor, it says green here. So if they're still more comfortable working in block editor, you can absolutely do that. There's nothing to stop them from it. But if they want to move over into typed JavaScript language, you can do that and go back and forth between the two interchangeably, which I think is so beautiful and so unique. So that's JavaScript, but I'm gonna veer a little bit off the hour of code track here because I want to look at their HTML CSS curriculum in comparison to Khan Academy, which we saw yesterday. So it to get to this one, it's a little bit more of a path to get in. What's nice about Hour of Code lessons, they don't require login. They are very easy to find, easy to access. You can just get started and get coding. Now, the web development one is a little bit trickier. I'm going to see if I can come in here from the Learn tab for students. Let's say I'm a student. I just want to come in. I want to learn. And I'm going to look in grades 6 through 12. I see HTML inside there. So as I go through, you can see that all of these are requiring 13 plus, 13 plus, 13 plus. And they're calling these the modules for older students specifically. So Game Lab's going to be JavaScript, App Lab's going to be JavaScript. When I scroll down, I come over here to see Web Lab. That's going to be HTML, CSS curriculum. So click here and check this out. So here, it took us straight to Unit 2, the web development curriculum for grades 7 through 9. And what this will allow us to do, similar, you can go ahead and click here, similar to Khan Academy, is have a built-in editor. Now, as you can see here, I'm immediately taken to the login page. So if your students already have code.org accounts, they can log in, they can create their own account, or as a teacher, you can log in and create a class code where they would come instead over here where it says enter 6-letter section code. You could actually put that in and it would take them directly to the class. There's also a link that comes with that. So I'm going to sort of bounce over to the teacher panel. So teacher side of things, as I mentioned, it was Unit 2, because this is technically the second part within computer science discoveries. There is Unit 1, problem solving and computing, which is going to be critical if you're following along with standards and want to make sure you're covering everything. I just want to see some HTML stuff, so I skipped straight into Unit 2. And if you want, you can pick and choose and cherry pick these. There's nothing to say you have to go in order with these units. This is good and recommended, but not 100% necessary. For example, I have one class I'm doing right now on Saturdays where we just dove straight into Unit 3, the interactive animations and games, because that's what they wanted to do and they wanted to learn JavaScript. So I went ahead and I clicked on this Unit 2, and what it did was similarly open me up to another tab here where it's really insistent that I log in. So I'm going to go ahead and I guess I let that page sit there for a while. I'll try this again. All right. Things. Oh, how funny. So it dropped me straight in to my teacher account here. And this is actually one of our students' projects from our digital media class that they were learning about digital image manipulation. So I'm in. It dropped me straight into this project, which is pretty funny. So let me come back here and go back into the course catalog. So here we are. Cool. So this is very similar to what your students are going to be seeing. And you do have the option here to see exactly what they're seeing, or get a little bit of help if you need lesson plans, want to send this link directly to a student, maybe if you're logging into class and don't want to worry about, lesson 1 or lesson 2 or the assessment or where are we, you can send them direct links. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this in student mode for now and shut down this panel. These are going to be very similar in format. They're going to have videos, they're going to have exercises. It's going to start with exploring, web pages. Why do they create them? That so whole spiel about, what is the internet? They are going to cover that. Um, let's dive in to these here. So, um, they're really, breaking these down similar. The HTML tag, head tag, that looks great, giving us our vocabulary. Um, these overview questions, this is awesome. This is a great resource just to start some conversation. Um, about the lab space here. So we have a tri-panel editor. Over here, we're looking at our files, and we only have one file. It's just index.html. In the center here is actually where we're going to be writing our code. This is where you're going to be writing your code. And over here is where it should be appearing. So here they just say this platform you are in is called Wet Lab. There are three main parts of the screen. Cool. As I described, the files, the workspace, and your preview. Try typing something in the workspace, press refresh, and see what happens. That's it. So right here, and hit refresh and save here, and great. Now I should be able to click finish, and there we go. So, here we're getting some more video content and similar kind of general information. Always good to watch, always good to know. But here we are. So first thing, right out of the gates, we've got a page with H1s, H2s, paragraphs, H2s, paragraphs. So they're kind of just throwing the code right at you and saying, hey, here you go. Take a look at this and see if you can make some sense of it. Ezra Khan Academy's approach was type your first tag all by yourself, and then we'll throw some code at you. So explore HTML. This is a written web page in HTML, the language of the web. You'll learn more about how this works, but first explore it by using the inspector tool. How do I use the inspector tool? So follow the instructions in the web page to explore the web page and discuss with a partner how it is working. So here I can turn inspector off. Or inspector on. When it is on, if I hover over welcome to Wet Lab, it's showing me in my workspace where that tag is. I can see it's on line 7 in those H1 tags. If I come down to here to this is a web page, you can see it's going to that H2. This is a web page. If I come down and hover over the paragraph, I will see the paragraph in the code. This is great. This is a real feature, a real tool that as a web developer, I use all the time. So that's all I want you to do is just kind of play around with this tool and see what happens. Now with this off, you don't get that same interactivity. That's all. We're done here. We're gonna get some more video content explaining to us why are HTML tags useful and what does the paragraph tag do. So we saw them probably give a pretty good idea, but this is gonna explain that in a little bit more detail. Adding text to the body. So under do this, write 3 separate sentences about any topic you like inside the body of your web page. Hit refresh and save. You don't see the changes in the preview. Share your work with a neighbor. So yeah, some of these you might be able to do. Sometimes if you're remote, you may share. Making sure you're placing code in the same place. So here there's also a pop-up. This icon means that this level is part of a larger project. Changes will be saved across these levels. That's good to know. So this little symbol here means whatever we put in here. So if we added a paragraph and said here on O10. All right, cool. So I put in 3 separate sentences in 3 separate paragraph tags, and I hope it likes it. Curious, if I had only done 2 and hit finish, it still, I think it's because I test this out one more time. I'm trying to see what happens if you do not put in the correct answer. Okay, so if I click, that's interesting. It looks like it still lets me go on, even though I didn't have all 3. I only had 2. It wasn't terribly opinionated. So here, under do this, it says place the tag you just wrote inside at least 2 separate paragraphs by surrounding it with the p tags. Compare the results with your neighbor. What has changed about the way your text is displayed? Oh, I see. I think I wasn't following instructions. So I'm curious. I'm going to go back here to number 6. So I think I did what a lot of students are going to do. I jumped the gun, and I did 3 separate paragraph tags to begin with. The point of the lesson was to show them that formatting inside here isn't going to matter. Isn't going to format because it's all one tag. So even though I have breaks here in the HTML, they do not translate over. The computer doesn't know it. It totally ignores it. So what they were trying to show them is by actually breaking these out into separate paragraph tags, the formatting is going to change quite significantly. Okay. But as you can see, it kind of just let me go on. It didn't care too much. And so that's where I think that check with the neighbor thing, really comes in handy. And doing this as a teacher, of course, before you teach it also comes in handy. So here, they just want us to fix the broken code so that the web page displays correctly. This sentence should be on its own. So should this one. And what's wrong with this sentence? I don't think anything is. Oh, okay. Well, that's an odd one. So I see what's wrong here. I've had a lot of practice debugging, so I can find some of this stuff pretty quick, but sometimes this takes a long time. So starting with the last line, for whatever reason, what's wrong with this sentence? It doesn't appear that anything is wrong, but if I look at the code here, or if I go into inspector mode and inspect it, it's interesting. It's not highlighting the entire paragraph tag. Like when I hover over this paragraph tag, it highlights the entire thing. If I hover over that paragraph tag, it's just highlighting the closing part, and that should be a red flag to you. That's not correct. It's not behaving correctly, and that's because you can't have your closing tag for your opening tag. So I'm gonna come in here, fix this. That is what is wrong with that tag. And this one I can fix pretty easily. So this sentence should be on its own. So then that means this should be the end of the paragraph tag. And so should this one. That means it should be also in its own paragraph tag. Okay. I think I am. Cool. So we're getting a little bit of new code and on into our next lesson, headings. So I just want to take a sneak peek through here. If you click up on lessons, that's going to take you back into this overview. So I had finished up through lesson 2. Lesson 3 starts with headings. Lesson 4, you're able to create a little mini HTML project. Lesson 5. This one's an interesting one, a little bit more about cybersecurity, your digital footprint. That's a good one. 6, they're going to get into CSS or how to style it. 7, your mini project. Cool. So by that point, you would be able to put text on the page, have content on the page, have backgrounds on the page. Intellectual property is an important one. I would not skip that. I do not take it lightly. But finally, down here, lesson 9, finally, okay, we get to some images. So I think a little bit, slower paced with code.org, a little bit less opinionated. I was able to, kind of put in some code and I don't know, just kind of like move on from it. And I, as a teacher, was not totally doing it correctly, and it took me a while to figure out what the point of the lesson was. So I do love it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a really great tool. I do feel that code.org is gonna move a little bit slower and a little bit more methodical. As where Khan Academy, they were, introducing to us image tags within the first hour of code. I don't think I would have gotten to lesson 9, kind of going through that. And so, with Hour of Code or with any lesson, if you can go through it and you can cherry pick out some elements and ideas, you can always do that. If you need more of a consistent and thorough course that's going to cover all the standards, that curriculum is also there for you. So that will conclude today's code.org. It is Friday. Woo! So only more days left to celebrate. Tomorrow I will be back looking at some JavaScript, so kind of the last level of this. And on Sunday, I actually have a very special surprise that I'm going to spend far more than 1 hour of code working on, and I look forward to unveiling that to you. Until next time, I'm Mrs. Julie Troy, and